Hi, it's Coppernosis with another video, and I'm going to talk about narcissism once again, and I'm going to talk about friends, how friends can sort of be narcissists, and maybe a little bit more about other people. But I was just remembering a story of a friend of mine, and a little while ago we went out. It was a while back, and a couple of years or year and a half, something like that, and we went out partying, whatever, to some bar. And afterwards, it was like, oh, let's keep partying. So we ended up calling somebody else at work with us. And he's like, come over to my house, let's party. And so he was cool, it was a really nice place. And so we were playing pool and all this stuff. And his other friend shows up. His other friend is really hot. And I guess he had this really big package. I didn't notice right off the bat. But my other friend was like, you didn't see this? And she shows me this big, we went out into the hallway or whatever, and she's like, look at this. And I'm like, oh my gosh. And I can't believe he took a picture of his pants. And she's like, you didn't notice this? I'm like, I'm trying not to, I'm not in that mode at all. I don't know. He was still cute. He was really good looking. So me and him ended up going upstairs. And actually another friend of mine go upstairs because it's outside. So we went upstairs to go outside. And we were hanging out. And then my other friend left. And then he was just me and him hanging out. And I'm like, ooh. And we were talking about regular stuff. But then he started getting really forward and trying to make out with me and all this stuff. And I'm like, I just wasn't ready. And so I'm like, no. And plus, when I say big, I definitely was not ready for that. I wasn't ready for it. I can't even tell you I wasn't ready. So I kind of ran off and was like, no way. But then we go downstairs, and then my other friend is super drunk, almost throwing up in the bathroom. And a friend of mine was like, oh, he should get with her if you don't want to do it. I'm like, what? She's super drunk, and like I said, I'm going to tell you, she had only had sex with one other guy. And so, if she was pretty innocent, this guy would, anyway, I was like, no. And I guess he even, kind of went in there, and I was like, no. No. And it wasn't a jealousy thing at all, because whatever, I could have totally done whatever. I just didn't think it was appropriate. I don't think she would have, if she wasn't drunk, I don't think she would have been into it. And I don't think she was into it anyway. I think my other friend was actually more into the excitement of it all. And I'm like, no, what's wrong with you? No. He's not gonna, no. So we end up leaving finally. And then the friend that was super drunk ends up barfing in the back of my car. She was just super drunk. There was no and like I said, she was really innocent. Anyway, so we go home, and I'm like, oh my gosh. So anyway, this guy's gonna have another party the next week. Oh, let's watch basketball or whatever. It was the playoffs, and I'm like, I'm not gonna go over there because I know if I go over there, it basically means that I want to hook up with this guy. I already know this. And I'm like, no, I don't want to go over. Because I don't want to hook up with this guy that I don't know, I just met, and I know how forward he was last time. If I show up again, it's going to look like, yeah, that's what I want to do. So she's like, no, it'll be okay. If he shows up, we'll just leave, and it'll be fine. And I'm like, I just didn't want to even go. Actually, I wasn't even feeling it. I just didn't want to go anyway. And then I really didn't want to go because of that. And so I'm like, no, I just don't want to. And she's like, beg. So I finally was like, okay, fine. Let's go over. So we go over. It was totally fine. We were just hanging out. And then he shows up. The other guy, right? I wasn't sure. We didn't know if he was going to show up or not. But I didn't want, anyway. So he shows up, and then my friend all of a sudden was like, I'm leaving with this other girl. And I knew it was on then. It was on. Because I already, put myself in that position, and I already knew what I was going to do. I already knew what I was going to do if I went. I didn't want to go. I didn't want to be in that position. She knew this. I begged her. And then, then she leaves, and I'm already in the position like, I already know it's on. It's on. And she goes to a freaking bar and sends us a picture, text picture. She's like, oh, we're at a... I'm like, what? You know, like, anyway. Anyway, I ended up hooking up with a guy, and, you know, it was fine. It was great, whatever. But, I mean, it wasn't like he was going to be my boyfriend. He was a super kind of player guy and blah, blah, blah. You know what I mean? He was hot, but, I mean, he gave me his number, and it was fine. But he was a total player. Like, I wasn't even into it. I had just been married for so long. I hadn't really dated anybody, and I wasn't even into it at all. Like, he calls me up one day, and he's like, I'm going to go to a party, and then I want to come over later to your house. And he was all drunk, and he passed out on the couch. It was just like, you know, I don't want to deal with this. Luckily, I just kick his ass out, because I don't care or whatever. I'm like, you need to go. And, but still, I ended up, like, hooking up with him, and I didn't want to. Like, it was my own fault, but it was, like, I told my friend, like, I don't want to go. I don't want to. And it was still like, let's go. It'll be fine. And then she leaves. Like, she didn't even, like, leave with me. It was really weird. It was super weird. I don't know. So, anyway, I think that was kind of a narcissistic move. I think she wanted me to hook up with the guy, because it was kind of exciting. You know what I mean? It was exciting that, you know, to you know, but she wasn't taking my feelings into consideration at all. I mean, I know I hooked up with the guy, but the thing is, I didn't want to go in the first place because I knew I would. You know what I mean? Like, no. Whatever. I just think that was kind of narcissistic, because she calls me from the bar, and you know what I mean? It was like, I didn't even have to leave my house. I was just chilling. Now I'm in this position, you know what I mean, where I'm dating. Now I'm, you know, whatever. But, so I thought that was kind of narcissistic. I think another narcissistic thing is they're kind of unhappy. They're so unhappy, and they rarely laugh. When they laugh, it's kind of like, that snide, or, you know what I mean? I call it, you know, another thing they do is scoff a lot. So they think their scoffing is actually they're laughing, like, and that's their laugh. Like, that's their way of showing that they're amused. And it's like they're scoffing at something you did or something like that. And so, yeah, I noticed that about my ex last time I was there visiting, and I noticed that he never laughed, and I hadn't noticed that in forever. I mean, I had been with him forever. I'm like, wow, you never, like, laugh. You never just, like, laugh out loud. You never just, like, show a laughter emotion, like. And then I was talking to my kid, and I'm like, I go, your dad, he's like, and then I think my son thought I was talking about him, and I go, no, you laugh all the time. We're always laughing. I go, you're just telling me that story about you're at work, and you guys were laughing so hard, and you made a big mess. And no, they don't laugh just, like, so hard that, you know, when you get the laughs where you're, like, crying and you're rolling around, and I mean, I laugh like that a lot, you know, and, you know, it's like, the life can be really funny, so it's like, you know, it's fun to laugh. I love laughing. But, you know, another thing that they do, they always put whatever they're doing, that's the narcissism part, is like they're first, whatever. They don't care necessarily if you're happy or sad. It really doesn't much matter. You know what I mean? As long as you're kind of doing what they want, they don't care if you're happy or sad. It's really weird. But if you're happy and they're not, then, you know, that could be a problem too. I mean, I noticed like I noticed a lot of things that narcissists, they like you to know what they think, what they want, and what they don't like. One thing my stepmother was a constant, I don't like that. I don't like that. And it didn't ever seem like she was asking anybody else what they liked or didn't like. It didn't really matter. It was all about them. And that was it. And we all tried to make them at least kind of comfortable, because they're usually miserable. So trying to, like, just at least make it neutral, you know. But that's not easy, you know what I mean? Especially, you know, you're trying to make somebody happy that doesn't care that if you're happy or not. You know what I mean? So after a while, you're like, why am I working so hard to try to make this person happy? And they do not care. As a matter of fact, they'll try to do stuff to make you upset. So then it's like you're working double time to make them happy. And you're like, oh, it's super scary, so confusing, super confusing. But, you know, that was just one story. I'm just like, you know, I don't know. I just, anyway, I don't want to make too long of a video. It's hard to upload them. So that's just maybe one narcissistic story where, you know, they just want entertainment or whatever, and you're kind of the provider of the entertainment. You know, like I think I stayed with my ex so long for the sex. Like I had said to somebody, I was married for 12 years, and I was with him for a really, really long time, but even before and after marriage. And I was talking about the sex, and I would always say, "Oh, I stayed with him for the sex. I stayed with him for the sex." And I think what it was is that was the only time that we were like getting along. And so like I would crave the getting alongness of it. I mean, the sex was okay. Sometimes it was really bad, but sometimes it was really good. It's just really bad because you know somebody's like not really in it for you. It's just really, I don't know. Sometimes he'd do stuff that like he knew would bother me, and it was sort of like, well, it's like I don't want you to enjoy this too much. You know what I mean? Like, so frustrating. Anyway. Narcissism, it is what it is. All right. All right, your copper gnosis. I love you guys. Talk to you later. Stay away from narcs. If you can figure it out, they are one. Bye.